I'm on Google trying to find any contact information I can. And sure enough, I found a cell phone number for the guy. So I sent him a message through, a text message on the cell phone. And he actually responds. And he's like, yeah, I still got it, and this and that. And he said, I've had a lot of people, expressing some interest. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, listen, is it what you say it is? He's like, yeah, that's it. And from there, it was hey, listen, I could come down this weekend and grab. And I did. I went down there on a Saturday and picked her up out of Jacksonville. And I guess the rest is history. I got down there and he told me, he said, man, I honestly believe he's telling me the truth. I don't think he would lie. He said, I had a guy, he's been hounding me. He even wanted to give me more money than what I was asking. He said, but I had already made a commitment to you. And I said, I really appreciate that. And I'm sure he could have sold this bike for about $6,500 to $7,000. Anywhere in that range with very little problem because it didn't have any miles on it. The only problem with this bike is from the Jacksonville, the beach area of Florida, and the only issue is salty air. Kind of hit some spots on it. The exhaust on the bottom was a little bit rusty when I got it, but the plan was to change that, so it wasn't a big deal. The best part of this bike was nobody had touched it. If you're going to buy a bike, I say this a lot, man, it's usually best to get an unmolested, unmodified motorcycle. Even with mine, I've done a lot to the bike that I know how I did it. It's not something that's going to be in the manual. If a fuse blows or something, I probably know what's going on that blew that fuse. Because when you start adding, as much as I've added to this bike, heated grips, amps, heated seat, heated passenger seat, tail lights, I got signals are now brake lights and running lights, and trailer modules under my seat that allows a three-way operation back there. It's just a lot of things going on this bike that I understand that if somebody new just popped in, they'd be scratching their head probably. I mean, somebody with some good knowledge, of course, could figure it out, but I mean, not everybody's like that. They think, oh, well, the bike's already really, really modified. I won't have to do anything to it. It all depends on who you're getting it from, I guess. I think I did pretty well with what I've done with the bike. I think it's kind of, for the most part, a lot of it's self-explanatory, but there might be some notes that need to be made on a couple of things. So if you can, just, if you're going to buy one that's got all that stuff, just take 2 steps at it and just really make sure that you know what you got. So that's that. At this point, I can't think of too much else that I'd really want to do to this one. Of course, it's been sent to Ivan's Performance. Anybody that hadn't sent their ECUs to their computers, ECU, the brain of the bike, anybody that hadn't sent that to Ivan's Performance, definitely recommend it, because I can still remember when I bought this bike, the first time I rode it while the guy had it, it was terrible. I can remember sitting on this thing and just thinking, this feels terrible. And it just had that feeling of, I just didn't fit into it, and just a weird feeling. But it's worked out all right. You just got to take the time and figure out what it's going to take to make it something that you're going to enjoy and feel good to you. that's what I did. You know, there's only one thing that I probably planned to do that I never did, and that is a Corbin Seat. A lot of people get Mustang seats. If you're an older person, I'd probably recommend Mustang more than Corbin. If you're kind of young still, Corbin for me is the way to go. The main difference is Corbin is it's not a plush padded seat. That's not what Corbin is. What Corbin is a contoured seat. It's kind of like that firm mattress on your bed. It's hard, but it's got the curves that make it comfortable for most people, and it's got the curves that make it visually appealing as well. So those are my two things. I mean, visually appealing is probably more of it, but the firmness doesn't bother me. Mustang is more of a, you know, pillow top type mattress that you're going to sit on and just be in luxury. But Corbin, you're going to pay for Corbin. Corbin's one of them things that costs some money. I'll tell you something else about stoplights. Make sure you always keep your bike in gear, and always pay attention to what's coming up behind you. That's just one of those rules of motorcycle riding. If you see somebody coming at you and they're not going to stop, you know, if you're in gear, you can kind of move quick a little bit, either to the left or to the right, or whatever you need to do. I had one the other day. I need to put my dash cam video, if I can find that video, of this guy just reckless driver, 100%. And be seen. Be seen. You got two sides. You got a left side of this lane and you got a right side of this lane. Always remember that. You don't always have to be in this left part like me. The right side sometimes is a good place to be. Especially get on the right side if there's a lot of traffic. Say for a second you're on a 2-lane road and you have a lot of traffic in front of you coming towards you. You know, you got that slowpoke, you know, driver over there coming at you, and everybody's just built up behind him, and they're frustrated, and they want to get around him. That's the time for you to be on the right side so that there's no blind spot for the oncoming traffic. Because if you're all the way on the left side, say like these cars coming at us, if they're bumper to bumper on a 2-lane road, and you're going 60 miles an hour, and you're way over here, say for a second you're way over here, then you're in a blind spot. Whereas if you're way over there, they're going to be able to see your headlight. So it's going to increase, you know, your chances of a head-on collision, or decrease your chances of a head-on collision, because there is no blind spot. Because you're over here, they're going to see your headlight. And there's one right there. He probably didn't even look before he opened that door. Main thing is just to get comfortable and just think things out. I think that's one of the keys for most people on a motorcycle. Sometimes they just don't think. Cough time. There you go. Just for you. There's the old hearse right there at the funeral home. I don't know if y'all can see that. That's an old one. And the other thing is just practice your clutch and rear brake collaboration. Here comes a truck there. Do they see me? Who knows? But we're hoping they do. Going into curves, that's another one. Blind spot. Just try to let people know you're around that curve. I think one of the one thing you'll always hear if somebody hits somebody on a motorcycle, I didn't see him. That's pretty much the one thing, the one excuse. Didn't see him. So be seen. Be seen, and it's not all about some bright colored vest or anything. It's about this motorcycle, you know, being in a place on the roadway that it can be seen. Tell you something else. For those of you that don't know, a front brake will yank you down faster than anything else. Low speeds and front brakes are not a good combination. I'm about to say a good conversation. They're not that either, but they're not a good combination. Front brake, if you're turning and you're using that front brake, you're a recipe for disaster in the making, because that front brake is going to pull you down. You want to always trail brake at low speeds, and that means the rear brake. I still use my front brake a lot of times. If I'm going straight and I'm stopping, I'll use the front brake. It's not the best habit to be in. Look, I'm just coughing. But it's what I do. I kind of control it, but I definitely know not to use the front brake when I'm turning the wheel, or the handlebars. Turning the wheel, the handlebars. Trail brake. I remember when I first started riding, man. My first bike, I was like 19 years old. I bought a big old huge Yamaha Venture, 87. It was basically a gold wing. Weighed about 800, 900 pounds. And the first time I got on that thing, but the guy had to bring it to my house first off, because I couldn't ride it home. Got on that thing the first time, lived on a little dead-end street. Got in there and I thought, well, I'll just ride up and down the street. Well, that's not how it works with a big bike like that. I went to do a U-turn and dropped that sucker right in the middle of the street. Because there are definitely techniques that you have to follow in order for all that to work. And it's just all about practicing, I guess. I can kind of do a U-turn. I pretty much take up 2 lanes of traffic to do a U-turn because I overthink it. But I guess the rule of thumb is if you've got some power going to the rear wheel, you're not going to drop this motorcycle. Now, if you're about to fall and you don't have any power at the rear wheel, you're going to fall. Before I get off here and stop recording, I'm going to put where this temperature gauge is, because we're about to stop this. Because we got UPS right up here. I'm still confused about parking a motorcycle anymore. It used to be back in the day I had no problem parking it, like in these crosswalk areas, not crosswalk, but crossed out areas. Anymore, I don't know if I'm supposed to do that or not. It's confusing anymore. But we're going to take this one. And then we're going to stop this here in a moment. But here's where the heat is. We're about a notch above the half there. After about 15 miles of run. Put that back on my tripometer. Kickstand down, bike off, baby. That's going to be it.